Hello everybody, my name is Josie Violet and this is Josie Violet Knits. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a knitting podcast where I talk all about the past, present and future of my knitting, and I feel like I haven't sat down and done a proper good old-fashioned knitting podcast in a little while, so I am excited to talk you through everything that I have been knitting at the moment, what I've been finishing, starting and buying a little bit of yarn for. I'll start off with what I'm wearing, which is my Wavelength cardigan by Be Creative Knits. This was a test knit and I believe it will be coming out soon. I think once I've posted this video it will be already out, so keep an eye on Bee's page for this. This is a all over cabled cardigan with these little waves all over it, and it has a polo collar, which in the pattern it does have an option to knit a regular folded collar or a polo collar, and it's drop shoulder. And I feel like the cleverest part of this whole pattern is it has this little shoulder seam cable that flows into the arm cable, and it's just one of those little details that I feel like only a knitter would notice, but once you do notice it, it's like it really blows your mind, and it's like, how does that work? Once you knit the pattern you realise that actually it's just holding a few stitches and then keeping them for when you pick back up for the sleeves. But it also kind of feels like magic, and even though I know how it's done, every time I look at it I'm still just like amazed that I managed to make that work and managed to figure out how to make that work. It's very, very smart. The cables are, I will be completely honest, these cables are a bit of a mission, and especially when you're doing the body, and I was timing how long each row was taking me. A cable row was taking me 45 minutes to do one row, and the non-cable rows were like 20 minutes. So it was basically more than double the amount of time to do the cable row as to do the non-cable row, and you're cabling every other row. So this is a intense project. This is very time consuming, but I feel like it is definitely worth it, and the effect that you get is just so, it's almost like an optical illusion, like it almost like makes your brain kind of hurt when you look at it, in certain lights especially. But yeah, this is like probably one of the proudest things I've ever knit, just for how I feel like how long it took me, and I had to sort of battle through and just get through it, and I knew it would be worth it in the end, and it definitely was. But there was a moment there where I was like, I don't know if we're gonna make this, and luckily the test knit was extended by a month, which was good because I think a few other people were slightly struggling to get it done in time. I also just had been moving house during this time and I had a lot of things going on, so I was trying my best to meet the deadline, but it just wasn't going to happen. So luckily Bee very kindly extended the deadline and I was able to finish it in time and take all my photos. So I'm so happy with how this looks. I knit this one in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in Dusty Artichoke. So yeah, I love the colour. I love how the yarn feels now that I have it on. I will say that I feel like the Heavy Merino was a little bit splitty, especially when I was doing the cables, and there was a few times when my cables got really messed up because I was struggling to kind of move them across the needle, because I was trying to do some cables without using a cable needle, but I think for the left leaning cables, because they were a bit trickier and a bit messier looking, I ended up having to use a cable needle for those. I was still able to continue doing the right leaning cables without a cable needle, but I do feel like the yarn wasn't really helping me in that situation. Like ideally I would have liked to just do the whole thing with no cable needle, because it just would have been easier and quicker probably, but I did have to use it for the left leaning ones, and I do kind of blame the yarn, but also it might just be my own fault. I've not used this yarn before, so I do think it's a really nice hard wearing yarn. I've had no pills and I've been wearing this cardigan quite a lot since I finished it, and I've heard that it does hold up really, really well. It's soft, it's not the softest, but I feel like it's that whole thing of the balance between whether you want something to pill immediately or be maybe a tiny bit less soft and actually hold up, so I feel like it is going to hold up over time. So I'm not being completely negative about this yarn. I do like it, and I do think it's a really good choice for sweaters and projects where you're going to be wearing it a lot. I do think it's a good choice, and obviously their colour range is unmatched. I can't get over how good their colour range is. So I think if you had a project where you were just doing stockinette and not sort of fiddly cables or things like that, and even colour work, I think it would be fine. I just don't think I would probably pick it again if I was going to be doing a very detailed cable project. So it feels a bit, I don't know how to explain it, it's a bit dry and it's a little bit splitty. But yeah, it might be user error. It might just be me not being the best at doing certain types of cabling. I don't know. After doing this project, I can say I've done a lot of cabling. This project was so many cables because almost every single row you're cabling. There's parts of the wave where it is straight. So there's like occasionally these little patches where whenever it's going straight and transitioning from left to right, you get a little break and you can just do no cabling for a little portion. But then the rest of it is a lot of cables. So if you want to get really well practiced at cables, I would definitely recommend this. And it's just one of those patterns that is kind of mind-boggling, and it's going to cause a lot of attention, and I've already gotten quite a lot of compliments that I'm wearing this, and people are just like, what is that? Like, people haven't seen something that looks like this before. So if you want something really unique, then I would definitely recommend this pattern. Also, another great thing about it, because you know how much I don't love knitting a button band, the button bands are knit as you go. So that just means that you don't have to go back and pick up or deal with the button bands. Because the cables are quite intense, I feel like having the button band already done when you get to the end is just so good and just so relieving, because I think if I had to finish all those cable rows and then pick up and do a button band, I don't know if I ever would have finished this. I was pretty much knitting on this for close to 3 months straight, and I didn't do much else in that time. So that was the only other thing. It was like I felt like I couldn't justify picking up any of my other projects because I knew that I had so much to do with this one. So it did feel a little bit rushed at times, but that was also partly because I was moving house. So yeah, I think this is going to be my last test knit in a while, and nothing against Bea and her test knit. It was very well run, very lovely people in the group chat, and it was a great experience. I just feel like for me personally, I don't have much spare time at the moment, and I don't know if doing test knits is right for me right now. I hope at some point in time I'll be able to do some more again, but I just don't think I have the time right now, and that is completely fine. I wanted to also update you on my Maggie cardigan. I feel like I've been doing so many cardigans lately. It's just been like cardigans after cardigans, because I did my port jacket, and then I did my wavelength, and then I did my Maggie cardigan, and then I did my wavelength cardigan. This doesn't really go with this top, but anyway, I just wanted to just fill you in on how my Maggie cardigan is going, because this was an epic project that took me pretty much a year to finish, off and on. I was doing other projects in between, but it was knit on 3.5mm needles, and it also was heavily modified from the original pattern. I changed all of the collar, the button band, and the hem, and also obviously made the sleeves longer, which is kind of part of the pattern. The original Maggie cardigan has short sleeves, but there is an option within the pattern to make it longer. So that wasn't necessarily my modification. But yeah, the button band and the cuffs and all of the sort of finishings were modified by me. So I have been wearing this so much. It's so soft, and it also just filled a little gap that I had in my wardrobe, which was a slightly nice cardigan that I can wear out. It's kind of nice enough. I feel like the gold buttons and the fact that it's a little bit tighter and not as baggy as most of my other knits means that I can wear it on like dinners or if I'm going out, and I feel like I definitely needed that, or even if I'm just going to like a work thing or something where I just want to feel a little bit more put together. This has been the thing that I reach for all the time. So this was a very special cardigan. It's knit in Cardiff Cashmere Classic. I feel like this is, in terms of fit, this is probably the best fitting thing I have ever made. The sleeves are a perfect length that cover my watch. The shoulders fit, like the edge of the shoulder seam is right where the edge of my shoulder is, and when I wear it I just feel like I'm like, it's like wearing a glove, like it fits perfectly, and it's so nice in that way to have something that is like tailored to my body. It's got a contiguous shoulder and I just love all the little details of it. I feel like I wanted to go in a bit more detail about the modifications, so I feel like I didn't quite delve into that in my project vlog, and I know some of you were asking me for it, so I thought I would go into a bit more detail of how I did it. I knit, so the first aspect that I modified, I guess I just knit most of it to pattern until I got to the bottom of the body, and then once I got to the body, that was when I went off piste and did my own thing basically. And the hem of this cardigan is a double folded hem. So to do the double folded hem, what I did was, and this is all explained in my Ravelry project notes if you're interested, is I started to, as I got to the bottom, I started to gradually reduce the needle size at the hem, and that kind of, I felt like made it sort of tuck under a bit. Then I did a purl row where I was folding it in half, and then I continued up the bit that was going to be folded in the same way, sort of expanding the needle sizes as I went, and then I connected the two and folded, and then I essentially bound off by sewing the two folded bits together, and I did that all the way around. And so then I had a nice double folded hem on the bottom. When I first did it, I was a bit worried that it was going to curl because it was curling a bit strangely, but as soon as I blocked it, it completely flattened out, and then I got really excited because I didn't really know if it was going to work, and I was a bit worried about taking the risk because it was the Cardiff cashmere. I didn't want to waste any yarn, but I'm so happy that I took the risk because I love how it looks. So once I'd done the hem, then it was time to do the double knit button band. The original pattern has a ribbed button band, but in this one I basically just followed this tutorial that I found for a double knit button band. I will link that tutorial, and essentially I just followed that, but I figured out the width that I would need, like how many stitches it should be for it to, basically I wanted it to look the same width as the hem. And I think I just about achieved that. Maybe it's slightly bigger than the hem, but so once I'd done the double knit button band, and that, let me tell you, took probably months because I was just getting frustrated and I put it down, and because I had to size down to, I think it was 2.25mm needles, or 2.5mm needles. It took so long and I was really tired and bored of it by the end. So that took multiple months because I did one and then I did the other one. When I finally got that finished, then I picked up around the neck and I kind of incorporated the top of the button band into my pickup so that the collar would pick up consistently all the way around and like include the button band. And I think I just copied the pickup rate that was suggested in the pattern for doing that. Now you can see on this top button, I wish that I put where the hole for the button band was. I wish I put the hole for the buttonhole just slightly more in here, if you see what I mean. It just annoys me that it's like there and it just doesn't quite line up, and that annoys me. So if I did it again, I would put the buttonhole a bit further in, I think, because it stretches out more because there's quite a lot of pressure on it, and also it's just not quite aligned. So yeah, this is just my perfectionist brain, because when you sit back you can't actually notice that it's a bit wonky, but I notice. So yeah, I think I would just suggest, if you are doing this yourself, to just put it in a little bit closer into the body, and then it will just not be a bit wonky like mine is. But that is probably the only thing that is slightly annoying me. The rest of it I'm very happy with. And this has actually, I was expecting this, well actually now that I'm looking at it, it is pilling a little bit under the arm, like right under the armpit. It is pilling a little bit, but considering this is probably the softest yarn I have ever used, it's really not that badly pilling. Like and I have worn this quite a lot. I mean, there's definitely some bobbles, but it's really not anything absolutely crazy considering how soft this yarn is as well. There's no pilling on the outside of the arms. I don't think there's much pilling on the body either. Maybe just a little bit, but it's really not that bad, to be honest. And like, you're not going to be looking under my armpit. So obviously I'd love to knit with it again, but the cost is quite crazy. So maybe a scarf or something small I can do at some point, because I also just love the colour range of Cardiff Cashmere. They have really nice colours that I really gravitate towards. So this was knit in the colour Attico, or Arctico, I can never quite remember. So yeah, that is my little Maggie breakdown for anyone who was asking for it. So let's get on to my whips. I have two things on the go at the moment that I feel like I'm quite heavily working on, so I'm going to go into some of those. The first one is a self-drafted scarf. I don't self-draft very often. I feel like I have learnt so much from knitting patterns ever since I've been knitting that I've always been a little bit intimidated by just making up my own thing, but I think lately I've been really wanting to give that a go, and so this is something that I wanted to knit. I basically just wanted a triangle scarf in a waffle stitch pattern, and I'm knitting this in this absolutely amazing yarn from this hand dyed yarn brand called Zakami. I purchased this at Unraveled Festival back in February, and this is 20% silk, 10% cashmere and 70% baby alpaca. It is fingering weight yarn that is hand dyed. It's just so soft, and I just, as soon as I felt it, I knew that I wanted it to be a scarf because I just wanted it to be just something that I could wear all the time and with multiple different outfits. So this is the ball of yarn that I'm knitting from, and when I was at Unraveled Festival they had a little raffle at the Zakami stand, and so I won a little mini skein of this same yarn in this brown colour. And so when I saw these two together, I just kind of had an idea for doing a scarf with an I-cord edge around it in the darker colour. And then it kind of made me think of like burnt toast, because the colour of this is called tea and honey, and then I was thinking about toast, and then I just somehow was thinking about waffles, and so then I decided I wanted to do a waffle stitch scarf with the brown I-cord. So that is what I'm doing. This is my swatch that I did just to practice the I-cord and figuring out how I was basically going to knit it. So this was quite a useful little experiment just to get an idea of how it's going to work with the I-cord around the edge. So once I did that, I was quite excited to get started. So basically, to create the scarf, I cast on some stitches, just a few stitches at the bottom, and then I'm also incorporating just a stockinette edge that is going to be where I'm going to pick up for the I-cord later on. I felt like if I just didn't have an edge, I think it would be quite confusing of where to pick up into the waffle stitch pattern, because it's quite irregular, and I feel like that would be a bit confusing with all the increases to figure out where to pick up in like a neat way. So I've added just a stockinette edge as I'm going, and then I had to figure out the increases within the waffle stitch pattern, which took a second to just figure out. I have done that kind of thing before when I did the waffle loop sweater dress, so it wasn't too difficult to figure out, but it did just take me a second, and I actually ended up drawing a little chart for myself on Stitch Fiddle to kind of understand how it worked and to kind of get into my head where I would be increasing as a purl, like make one left purl, make one right purl, make one left, or make one right. Because you have to use different ones at different rows. So just figuring that out was just took a little second, but now I've got the hang of it, and I can now do it without looking at the chart that I made for myself. I can just knit the 4-row repeat no problem with the increases. It's quite a rapid increase, and that's kind of what I wanted, but I'm wondering if, I don't know, it's hard to tell until I finished it, obviously, because it's still on the needle, and it is also curling up a little bit at the bottom, and I'm hoping that's going to block out, but I have a feeling that it might be because I'm doing a stockinette edge and not a slip stitch edge, which I'm wondering if I should have done a slip stitch selvage edge, because I know that that's a little bit looser and might have prevented it from curling. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going. I could have undid it when I figured out that I probably should have used a slip stitch edge, but it's just a scarf for myself, so I'm just going to keep going, and I have a feeling it will block out a little bit, and if it doesn't, it's fine. It's just my first little self-drafted project. Maybe I'll do another one with the different selvage at some point to experiment. But yeah, I'm happy with how it's going anyway at the moment. And I love the little waffle pattern. I just love waffle stitch. It's so fun. It's just such a cute little repeat, and it's kind of in a way, it's kind of like stripes in that you always have something new coming up, and you're like, always feel like you've accomplished something just by finishing one of the sets of 4 row repeats. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying knitting this. It's like a little bit mindless, but still has enough to keep me entertained as well, so that's been really nice. So basically, once I get to the width that I want, which I'm not really sure what that is, I'm just going to keep going until it seems to be sort of the right length. Once I've done that, I will do an I-cord bind off all the way across, and then I will sort of turn around at the I-cord bind off. I'll do like a couple of stitches in the extension of the I-cord just to kind of give it room to turn around the corner, and then I will pick up all the way along and continue the I-cord bind off all the way along, and then I will turn again at this little tip here and then do it all the way along up here, and then I will get to the other end of where I started the I-cord bind off, and then I will have a triangle I-cord bind off around the edge. So that is my plan, and I think doing the swatch had definitely helped me to feel confident that I can do this. And yeah, it's been really fun actually to just, it feels like there's an extra layer of satisfaction when I'm looking at this, because it's not just copying something that is already in the world, it's like creating your own thing. So that's been really fun. And I think just buying the yarns from Unraveled without a plan of what I was going to knit for them, which I hardly ever do, has definitely been inspiring me to want to try some self-drafted things. But yeah, I'm very excited. I hope that I can get this finished while it's still a bit cold. Not that I want it to stay cold, because I hate the cold, but if I hopefully can get this finished in springtime, then I'll be able to wear it a little bit before it gets too hot. So that's been motivating me to keep going on this lately, and yeah, it's been really fun, and it's just so soft, and the waffle stitch pattern is just so squishy. It just has an extra bit of squish more than just a normal stockinette. So I'm very excited to get this finished. And the other thing that I've been working on quite a lot and really enjoying is my Super Basic Tee by Oh What a Knit. Here is how it is currently looking. It keeps rolling up on itself, so it really doesn't look like I've done much, but once you unroll it, it actually is a decent amount, considering this is on 3mm needles with fingering weight yarn, so it's going to take quite a while to finish, but that's fine. This is knit with Albertine by Durarum Natura, and I actually think this might be my new favourite yarn, and it's just such a nice yarn to work with. It's really bouncy and it's very soft, and it just creates this fabric that's very satisfying, and just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you're knitting, the needles and the yarn just flow really nicely, and I don't have to push the yarn. Sometimes when you're knitting on small needles, the yarn keeps getting stuck, but with this, for some reason, it just flies by and it's just really nice and easy. So yeah, I've been loving working with this yarn. It is 90% wool and 10% silk. Quite a unique composition. I don't think I've seen that many yarns with that combination of things, so maybe that's got something to do with it. And Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think Durand Natura, their Gilead yarn is probably my other favourite yarn that I've ever worked with. So if you're looking for a new yarn brand to try out and you haven't got anything from them, I would definitely say give them a try. I've only tried Albertine and Gilead, but both of them have been absolutely amazing. So like so good to work with, and also like the fabric they create is just so nice. So this is a European shoulder construction project, and as I said, it's on 3mm needles, so it's going to take me quite a while, but it's just a base, or it's what it says, it's a super basic tee, and I just feel like I wanted like I love plain white t-shirts, I wear them all the time, and so I kind of just wanted to knit myself a plain white t-shirt that I could wear in the spring and maybe even a little bit into the summer, like in the evenings when it gets a little bit chilly here in the UK. And the colour is, I would say it's definitely a bit pinky. It's not completely white, but I like that. It's just a little bit something different. It's like a kind of beigey pink shade. And yeah, I am absolutely loving this. At the moment, I am just creating the back. Once I've done the increases for the back, and so now I'm just knitting flat across. Then I'll be picking up for the left and the right shoulders and connecting along the front, and then once I get a little bit further down, eventually I guess it will be in the round, so that'll be nice just to knit in the round. And yeah, it will just be a nice little mindless project that will take a while, but I'm actually kind of enjoying that because this yarn is just so nice. So I'm really enjoying the pattern as well. And the pattern has actually just had its sizes extended. Literally like a few minutes before I started filming this video, she sent an email updating people who have bought the pattern to say that the sizes have been extended, which is really good because the size range wasn't great when I first bought it, but now it is got 7 sizes, so that's pretty good. I just love the way that the pattern has a lot of photos of different stages of the project, and even when there's like when it's telling you to pick up in a certain way, she's got a photo of what the bit will look like, and she's done little dots like where you should pick up. She's just drawn like little like dots like pick up here, and it's just such a clever way of explaining something, because I feel like sometimes like videos are good, but I feel like there's a lot that can go wrong in a video in terms of, you know, getting the focus gone wrong, or you know, that if it's not in the right language. For example, Petite Knits videos, none of them are in English, so I feel like this is just a very clever, having a photo and then like just pointing, here's what you need to do, and it just made it so clear, and like photo of every little section of how it should be and what it should look like at that stage. And I just think it's a very quick, easy, smart way to show that you're doing the right thing and kind of reassure the knitter that they're doing the right thing, which is really nice, especially with a project like this, which is really big, and if you had to unravel any part, like it would feel like you were wasting a lot of time. I have been timing this project, and I have so far, basically this is what I've done so far. It doesn't look like that much, but this has taken me 12 hours just to do this, so you can imagine how long the whole thing is going to take. I think it's going to take me, I don't know, probably 45 hours or something to finish. But so yeah, I'm trying to remember to track my time, just because I think it's very interesting for something like this, which is just such a long-term project. I'm just very intrigued to see how long it's actually going to take me. So those are my 2 whips. Apologies for the light, the sun is going down, but I'm just going to keep filming. I'm assuming you don't mind if you're still here. The only other yarn that I have purchased lately is some Drops Nepal. Very exciting. Drops Nepal was the first yarn that I ever used for a project. I used it in my step-by-step sweater, which was the first thing I ever knit. So it's kind of nice to go back to this yarn that I used then, and kind of I feel like I've done a lot since then, so it's kind of nice to go back to it. And the reason why I bought this is I'm going to be knitting for my mum's birthday. I'm going to be knitting her a weekend slipover v-neck by Petite Knit. This is actually something I've already knit before as well. I've knit this for myself in green, and that was my second ever project that I ever knit, was the weekend slipover v-neck by Petite Knit. So I thought it'd be an easy thing to do, like a no stress project for my mum. I don't do a lot of gift knitting, so I wanted to do something that would be easy and not, you know, using too much brain power or anything that would stress me out, because when you're knitting for someone else, you want it to just go right and you don't want any dramas. I mean, you never want dramas, but especially not when you're knitting for someone else. She has seen my V-neck vest and she really likes it, so that was why I decided I would knit it for her. I've knit something for every other member of my family apart from my mum, so I felt like I owed her something. So this is in the shade 0206. It is this just like a very sort of basic beige colour, but yeah, I just felt like, you know, it's a good basic, it's something that you can wear with lots of different outfits. And my mum does love a sweater vest, she wears them with shirts and she wears them to work, so I felt like that would be a good one for her. So yeah, that is something. Her birthday's in June, so I've got a little bit of time to do this. The last time I knit this, I actually did it in, I think, like 2 weeks or something. I did it quite quickly, so I feel like once I've got like a bit of time somewhere in my diary to knit this, maybe once I've finished my burnt waffle scarf, I will start knitting this. And yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to just having a project that will hopefully fly off the needles a little bit. It's knit with quite big needles and I think it would be nice to just get something. But yeah, I think it will be a pretty simple project, but that is what that is for. I think that is everything I had to share with you, and the sun is going down, so I think I'm gonna have to stop filming. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you're knitting at the moment. I would love to hear it. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!